Hello, Madridistas. It's not been a good month for us. It's not, especially in the last couple of weeks. Like every match we see, like the team's performances seem to go downhill, downhill, downhill. And let's just hope as we head into the last match of La Liga before the World Cup that we can find our form back for this game against Cadiz. And so, yeah, let's get right into it. And we're back. We're live, guys. And not a lot of happy faces. So the team has been going through a rough patch. Our own panel has been going through some shit as well. Farouk has had a really stressful day. Uh, Doris almost pulled her shoulder on her ride back to a house. So,
Not almost. I did pull.
oh yeah, so we could see the frustration yesterday, Farouk, on your call yesterday after the game. So today, have you calmed things down, or has things still stayed the same?
Nah, man. Actually, that was actually the build up to the whole stressful day, right? So like we did it, and I think the game was 11, so like the post match was around 1 a.m. for me. So like I was 1 a.m. to, and I was still like in the lab, and so I just went home like around 4 a.m. and something like that. I slept so little, so I was so frustrated like since yesterday, and the stress just piled up, and then today came and it was just more shit on shit, and like there was a solid foundation for the shit to stick. So he was just really garbage, actually. Yeah. So the match yesterday was just the beginning of everything. But hopefully tomorrow, or rather the day after tomorrow, I get to ease my stress in the game against Cadiz, enjoy the boys, have a walk in the park, hopefully, and then I can return back to my normal self.
It is Real Madrid. Like we have no walks in the park, but yeah, hopefully, like we get all 3 points at least. And well, Doris, you mentioned like yesterday's game was probably the worst Real Madrid game you've seen this season. And why do you think that is?
Yeah, definitely. I think we can all agree with that. Like, the team played horribly, and I'm la I'm the last person, to like really like criticize our players, but that game was, absolute trash from our players. And before we started, we mentioned a couple players that are, just not up to the task right now. Something is happening there, and it feels like from the El Clasico, something changed in the team. Like something happened to the mentality and the like our whole play style in general. Especially now that we miss Benzema, we can really feel it. The last time he came on for like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, which wasn't much, and we're really starting to show that we really need that leader up there. Because from last night we saw how unorganized everyone was, and especially our attack. And I won't even mention our midfield last night, but I will mention our defense. Like we know that is not our strong point in general. We're not known for our crazy defense in the last few seasons. Um, but yeah, like a couple players I would mention is Alaba. Like this season, he started really poorly, and I wish he will get better, especially now with the World Cup coming up. I feel like he's maybe expecting it too much to be called up, and he is. And he's just we thought that maybe introducing Rudiger into the game, into our team, then maybe some other players in our defense would feel that, the little push they need to give to really show that they deserve to be in this team. And it feels like some players are getting complacent. And for complacency, I would, also mention Ferland Mendy. and I don't know, like a lot of I feel like he's really protected in our fan base, and he's really one of those players that you cannot criticize for some reason, because as soon as you do, people start mentioning how good he is in defense. I don't care about that. That's not the only thing you have to do. Like, look at Danny. You don't have to, say he's good at this, he's good at that. He's good at his job. He's good at being a right back. Like he has problem with injuries. He has bad games. Everyone has bad games. But for Mendy, it feels like a good game for him is where Vinny does everything, and he's just there to fill the space that Vinny leaves. You don't feel like any attacking threat from our whole defense, except when Rude runs up, or Militao, or sometimes Alaba. But when you see Alaba running up, sometimes that happens only when our team is losing, or when we need to push harder. And he's been close a few times to scoring, but our team was left in the defense when he does that, and when he did that, which turns to be a whole other problem in our defense. Our players going up when they don't need to, and not going up when they do, you know. So
Can I
we
ask you
had,
something?
yeah,
Sorry for. So actually, you spoke about Mendy, and I mean, I'm all for that, and what is and what is not. Well, right now the thing is, there's like, who would you play then? This is my question to you. Okay,
no, that is it. Complacency. He doesn't have anyone else that can fill that spot except Alaba, which is
we know that even if Mendy has a competition, in my opinion, I think this is what Mendy does. Mendy is not someone who is, as you rightly pointed out, he's not a Carvajal who's gonna go and give you a perfect cross, or like beat the man and deliver a delicious ball that just needs a single touch and it's a goal. You understand? This is not what Mendy does. I mean, I think that's not the kind of fullback Mendy is. This is not. I don't know. Can he develop into that? To be honest, I think last night Javier was saying like Mendy's 27, 28. It's not like he's a kid who is developing into a superstar or something.
exactly.
No, this is the person who he is. Is this a shortcoming that you are thinking right now that okay, we can no longer afford such a player in this team because we have carried him for so long, as you said, like he is only defended, without giving you any output. But the question I pose to you now is that who do you play instead of him? Or rather, how do you battle this situation?
Okay. So there are people on the sub that are mentioning crazy players to come back and stuff like that. I don't agree with that. But I don't think the question is like right now. Who would I play right now? Because right now there is no one else that can fill his spot. Like he is a left back, something that others are not. And that means a lot, in the team when you know your position. But even if we don't have someone to change him for now, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do something about it. And I agree that is his play style, but it does hurt the team at some points, because Vinicius is marked with like multiple players at all times. So we need a player that can work with that. And Mendy doesn't seem like he can work with that. He is a great defender. That is, we can all agree with that. Like he does have some like bumps and all that. But every player does. Danny has it too. He sometimes makes a mistake. But I don't know if I'm willing to exchange that forever for him just being a good defender. Because it's not fair on Vinicius. I don't think he can even like uh, produce as much as he could. Maybe if there was someone that could be like at least this much better in attack. Because I don't think the only problem is just attack with Mendy. Sometimes he has a problem controlling a ball, which you would expect from a early 20-year-old, not from a 27, 28-year-old. Like I feel like sometimes that is unacceptable, the balls that he leaves. And sometimes he doesn't even run for those balls, just it's too far, and that's it. No, you wouldn't see other players do that. Not everyone, but and I think like he has a lot of I'm not saying that he's a bad player or that he should be dropped or anything. I'm just pointing out some things that are in our team.
Exactly,
I think
Doris. I mean, Mendy is a really polarizing figure. Like we have a lot of comments in the chat saying, "Hey Sunil, hey T-Nova." They all say, "Well, Nacho could do the job because he is an out-and-out defender and he is pretty good at passing, at least better than Mendy in many respects. However, like he's not the person to bomb forward. But I feel like in yesterday's game against Cadiz, Fran Garcia was basically putting forward his resume to us, saying, "Hey guys, look at me. I can do this stuff like way better than the players you have. Come and pick me up." So maybe he's
Yeah.
someone to go for in the winter transfer window if we have to go deep into the Champions League. He is that person off the bench, even if he can't replace Mendy immediately. Like if we play Fran Garcia, there won't be a drop off defensively or offensively. Offensively, like Vinny will appreciate having Fran Garcia forward. And Tino also mentions he's turning up the quality to HD because of Doris. So seems like Doris, we have some fans down in the comments.
Thank you.
Uh,
It is what
okay.
it is, yeah.
Mm. I did try to mention that Farooq is also worth seeing in HD, but Tino was not having it.
Who's
Uh,
gonna watch me in HD, man? I want to pay to watch myself in HD as well, man.
All right. So, did you guys take a look at any of the Ancelotti quotes? So, he did mention that along with the fitness levels that were dropping because of a lot of games happening towards the end of this first half, he could have played the tactics better yesterday, saying we could have did through like a lot of long balls instead of trying to play short passes. But the point is like he could also have no answer for the players' poor performances, saying, "Hey, like if you can't make like 5 yard passes from the midfield, like what's the point of playing like through balls that no player can get to?" And he did defend Vinny as well. So a lot of people were criticizing him as well, saying, "Oh, Vinny has to like he bought too much into the referee and into the game. He just needs to keep his cool and keep his mind." So a lot of finger pointing at different players, but Ancelotti defended all of those as he usually does. So going forward in La Liga, like, do you think we need a shift in tactics when we face teams of higher intensity, or are you happy with how things are?
So that's the thing. Like right now, to be honest, like it's not just about the tactics these days. To be honest, like since, as you guys pointed out, since the classical game, the players have dropped off. The level of the performances from these players have dropped. You understand? So now this is not just, no matter how good your tactics is, you need these players to eventually implement this plan. Okay, so that's the thing right now. Like yesterday, we were discussing about the fact that these players are saving themselves for the World Cup or what is not. So that's the thing. We can just only hope that that's the case. Like they're saving themselves for the World Cup, and after the World Cup, they will be back to their very sharpest press. You understand? Because the point is, I know like the games are more contested this year, but who are we kidding here? Like, whether you like it or not, if you want to compete for the very highest trophies, you have to play shit tons of games. This is not a new thing. This is something we have known for ages. I mean, he's not just realizing this yesterday, right? They didn't just come on, I don't know, on Sunday and tell him, "Yo, Carlo, you're going to play on Monday." No, he's known this since, I think, August or July, something like since when the fixtures were released. So he's known this. Obviously, you can't, give into account for injuries and what is not, and freshness and lack thereof. But he's known this. And for me, actually, to be honest, like it's gonna seem like you're going against Carlo Ancelotti, but it's not so. It's that yesterday's game was on the players. The past 3, 4 games have been on the players. They have not shown up. I mean, to be honest, they have not shown up at all. So it doesn't really matter like how good your tactics is or lack thereof. I mean, about the Carlo Ancelotti thing, it's a whole different thing. Like, do I think Carlo Ancelotti is the person to lead this team forward? No. Is the game always very interesting to watch? No. But the point is, the man knows how to get the shit done. The man knows how to win. You understand? So this is the thing. That's the thing there. Like he's shown that if the players are willing to play, he can lead them to the promised land. But right now, these guys are not willing to play. And no one can just come and give me the BS of, no, we're playing, they're reserving themselves for the World Cup. And no, I mean, go and see Gabriel Jesus at Arsenal, Martinelli at Arsenal. These are guys who played themselves into the World Cup squad because they were playing so good for the past 1-2 months that it's impossible to drop them. It's impossible to drop them. That's the thing, like, but I don't know, like, you comment, for example, you look like someone like Rodrigo. You'd expect that Rodrigo will, be trying to push as much as possible to push himself into the starting lineup ahead of Rafinha or Richarlison for Brazil. But if someone is saying, oh, he's just, relaxing himself for the World Cup to go and sit at the bench for the whole tournament.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, like, it's, I mean, I can understand, like, when you see elder statesmen like Luka Modric preserve his energy, fine and good. I can totally understand that because the point is age is not on his side. So like he has physical deterioration, whether he likes it or not. But then when you talk to me like someone like Vini, when you talk to someone like, Rodrigo, even to an extent, like, Fede Valverde, like, I wouldn't say he actually, he's reduced his application. No, he's actually still running around. But now the point is he's running around like a headless chicken. Just think of Arturo Vidal in the games against us. He's just always everywhere running and running, but there is no application. Work done is equals to zero. Just going and coming, going and coming, going and coming without any output there. So I think rather than the tactics, like we should just, focus on getting the players back for them to understand that, okay, I mean, there is Lewandowski somewhere who has decided that he's going to keep scoring till the end of time. So that's the thing we need to understand this because the point is this Barcelona-led Lewandowski, it's different from what we know. Whatever the case is going to be, this man is going to keep scoring and keep putting them out of the rabbit hole. That's just the thing. So we need to know that we have people on our heels this year. Because last year it was just easy running, but for this year it's going to be much more tighter than that, and these people need to realize that.
Absolutely. As of now, I think Barcelona kick off their game against Osasuna later in the day today, and we can never expect them to drop any points in La Liga this season, especially. Like you said, Lewandowski is just on another level. Like even if they have a really bad game or are overplayed, he can. I mean, we can always depend on him to get a last-minute screamer or get an equalizer at least. We just don't have that in this team anymore. That's been the problem. Like I said, a lot of players are complacent, uh, both in their national teams as well, because Vinny knows he has his place locked down. He doesn't need to do a lot, and so he can afford to rest himself. But not saying that he hasn't worked as off in the last few games, but it is what it is. So Doris, we have had injury issues. But the last month, like the highlight has been like Benz has been missing for most of it. He did turn up for El Clasico, but after that, he did start the odd game, but he has gone missing again. Like how much of an impact has that been to the whole team? Is missing Benz like an excuse for the whole team to play like this?
I mean, the impact is obvious. You have to be blind to not see the impact of Karim not being in the team. But of course, I don't think that it's on him that we played like this, because maybe if we, faced, like really hard teams, then you could say, like we really missed our captain, our best player in the team. But lately, the kinds of games we had, like we should be like completely dominant in these games, like especially last night. And I mean, Rayo beat like all the best teams in La Liga this season, which is like really like good for them. And they played a fantastic game last night. Like no one can take the away from them. They just caught us on a really bad night, because you know but Madrid lately is the kind of team that we suffer a lot, but at some point we turn it around and the game is ours. And even we are complacent with winning as fans. We're so used to it that we cannot even imagine like what is in their heads right now, like what is happening in the team, because we used to like everything being nice and all. Not always and through the years, but lately. And we started this season with winning a trophy, and then we won the trophy with winning against Barca. And after that, something happened. I mean, Benzema happened, his injury happened, but we had a few games where we were really good. But then against some teams, we just, even when we win, I don't feel like, we won, this was a brilliant game from us, we always have like a really scrappy win. And on Thursday, I don't think it's gonna be much different. I think it's gonna be a really scrappy game, like really scrappy game, especially because we're playing Cadiz. The like this season and last season, just from looking at their matches, there's like a red card, red card, red card, red card. They have so many red cards, either them or the other team. Like someone has a red card. So I am expecting Vinny to be probably really angry the entire game, which could, play into the same situation that happened last night, which we don't want to see him frustrated that much, even though most of the most of the time it's for a good reason. But missing someone like Karim, that will, slap Pedri on the with the backhand when when he does something, you know, and also Casemiro, like it really feels like we don't have that, like you go over there, you go over there. We need a real leader, because yelling in the box, it's not the same as being a leader, and that's what happens with a lot of defenders. Like the biggest thing with Karim that we're missing, I don't think is like him actually on the pitch. It's him, his presence, and what other players know what to do, because you know what he wants, so that's what I want. But when he's not there, you don't know what Vinny wants. He's 1 second is here, 1 second is there. He's not playing off anyone. When he's the kind of player that in the last 2 seasons, he kind of like got this thing where he already knows what he's gonna do before he does it. And when you don't have a player to play it off, with except Rodrigo, which is the kind of player that's doing the same thing with Vinny, but not. They are both doing the same thing to each other, but not Benzema. And that's the biggest thing that's missing in the attack. But the biggest thing in our team is our leader. No one can fill that role. Like we have Modric, we have Carvajal, we could
Gross.
like, yeah, but none of them except maybe Danny are like really, like stop doing this, stop doing that. And maybe even Danny lately is not doing that because he had a few bad games, so he's kind of keeping it quiet if you see during the game. But yeah, Karim, the only thing I want from him, at least like be on the bench. If you're injured, just yell at someone. Just like tell Vinny to go fuck, just like we need that voice in there. That's the biggest thing we need.
Well, yeah, it is a difficult moment to be a Madridist, seeing all of these players performing like this, having seen, because in the past few years we've been spoiled with so many great leaders in the dressing room, and it's just like this season, Alaba was really stepped up last season as well, but we haven't seen that side of him yet. Maybe, but since the World Cup is coming up, like it's probably a good moment for all the players to soak it up and get their mental space right. But talking about the game against Cadiz, we are again probably going to be missing Benzema, and it like some news reporters are also saying Rudiger is also going to be out. So we have had a defensive woes, and especially with the fullbacks, Carvajal has been shipping like the really easy runs behind him. Mendy has been uncharacteristically bad on defense as well. Like if he's not there to defend, like what's the point of having Mendy? Like we might as well play Nacho there. But yeah, Cadiz is a really tricky game because last season we drew both of the fixtures against them, 1-1 and 0-0. And it's like they have a really good Twitter account, okay, especially the Indian fan page account. So they are keeping on taunting Real Madrid. They've been looking forward to this game because They have had really good results against us recently, even though they're almost rock bottom at 19th place. They are looking forward to this game. Farooq, do you think there is cause for worry, and do you think their taunting is warranted?
I mean, that's the thing right now. Like, Cadiz goes into this game with a form that's very similar to ours. We have two losses in 5 games. They have one loss, and in the last 5 games, we have 2 victories. They have 1 victory in the last 5 games. So, I mean, arguably, we're on the same format. On the back of them recognizing that if you give a go at our players, because one thing we've always been complaining about is the fact that we play against teams who put 11 men behind the ball. So Cadiz will be like, okay, we're going to the Bernabeu. We have nothing to lose. And these guys are playing, with handbrakes on, like they all want to go to the World Cup in perfect physical condition, We don't want to get injured and stuff like that. So let's give a go. Let's give a run, Let's give it a run for our money, because already the point is we have nothing to lose. I think we're 18th or 19th in the league. I'm not sure what it is. Well, we have nothing to lose, right? Let's just give it a go. Like, and seeing, although obviously Rayo is a different beast compared to Cadiz, but like, watching what Rayo have done yesterday, Rayo were hands down. I mean, even scoring 2 goals in that game flattered Real Madrid a lot, So Rayo were hands down the better team. So Cadiz will be like, why not? This is a chance to snatch a point. And I mean, they haven't, if I'm not mistaken, they haven't lost against us in the last 2 games as well at the Bernabeu. They had 2 draws, something like this. So I mean, they will feel confident. For sure they will feel confident. And I mean, yeah, that's the thing, man. You sign the mind games earlier in the taunting and all that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like Doris mentioned, they have had a lot of red cards this season as well. Like, so they are a team who really know to rile the opposition up, and especially with strikers like Lucas Perez and Penny Lozano, they have hadn't they don't have a lot of form going forward. Like they're not scoring that many goals, but they are frustrating teams. They are frustrating the opponent's defense at least by nipping at them and putting pressure on the teams. We have, but speaking about the defense, we have one of our own players again, like playing for them, Victor Chust. Doris, have you had a moment to, observe him? Like, he was really bad last season, but he has clawed himself into the starting lineup this season. And, do you think we're going to struggle against them, especially in our opposition, like attacking wise?
So yeah, attacking wise, I don't think like the biggest problem for us is their attack. Like I I don't think anyone thinks that their attack is like our biggest problem on Thursday. It will definitely be them parking the bus probably, and that is how they got those 2 draws last year. It was also like those 2 games were like really scrappy from what I remember, and especially when you have 11 players just on one side of the pitch, it's difficult, and when you don't have Benzema, it's even more difficult. When you don't have your own defense, it's even more difficult, So with every element that we take off, we're kind of like it's it's as if we're like going down the league standings, with each player that we're missing or element, to our play style, And with Cadiz, if they decide to play 11 players on their side uh, of the pitch, I think the game will look exactly like last year, and I don't think much is gonna change tomorrow or
Hmm.
Thursday. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, our attack hasn't been firing without Benz, but there is one player who has risen up to the occasion, even if the other player's finishing has gone down. So Valverde has really picked it up. Not just talking about Valverde though. Asensio has been really good creatively as well. He was the player who had created the most chances yesterday against the game against Rayo, and he was really good again in the game against Celtic as well. Do you see like all of our goals coming from either Asensio or Valverde? Because we can't seem to be depending on Vinny or Rodrigo to score those easy chances anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Asensio is the person, who looks like the it's quite interesting that we will be speaking of Asensio in such sense that he looks like he is the savior right now. He looks like he's the one who's gonna come and save our asses. And yeah, we're due for one of those bangers, from Marco Asensio as well. So it's high time, to be honest. And kudos to the man. Like I personally have bashed him as well. So he's here making us eat our awards. At least, I mean, that's the thing. Like the level is so low right now that whatever Asensio gives is gold. You get, so that's the thing. Like, well, yeah. To be honest, I'm expecting one of those bangers from him sometime soon. Yeah, I do believe that and I'm very sure it's gonna be similar against Cadiz. Like, it's gonna be 11 men behind the ball. I would be surprised if we do anything otherwise. But as Zor rightly pointed, so yeah, man, it's gonna be so difficult. And if we keep misplacing 5 yard passes and what is and what is not, so we would need one of those bangers to actually bail us out one of these days.
Hmm. Speaking about needing to take our chances, do you think like we can go for a much more attacking lineup this game, especially because Carvajal didn't have a good game last night, and he just looked gassed out on many occasions. Mendy looks like he needs a rest as well. So, do you think in defense, like Lucas Vasquez coming on, or maybe even Alaba starting at left back is the way to go for this game, Doris?
Yeah, uh, it's a difficult question, because we know what we're missing from Mendy in our attack, and when you're playing, that many players in the defense, I think we are gonna have some problems there. And I don't know what to do. I'm not Ancelotti, and to be honest, like I don't think anyone knows at this point what to do with Mendy, and I don't think it's like completely his fault. I mean, he's a player like anyone else. It's not like he's been playing any different than what he has been playing. Maybe better or worse, but the same style he's been playing. For a while now. And if we want a change there, we need a different player and not just try to change Mendy. Because as Farouk pointed out before, he's not a young player. Like he's not a kid that will learn things. Like he should be in his prime. And if this is his prime, I'm scared, man. I'm really afraid. But yeah, the what I've always asked myself, what would have happened if Danny was our left back and not our right back? How would our attack on our left side look then? Because we could think, oh, it would have been so much better because he's good in offense and defense. But how would actually Vinicius play off that? Can he? Because when you look at it, Mendy rarely crosses the ball. I mean, he does is usually a scuff pass or a cross or it goes for a corner. Like it's not his fault. I'm not saying like he's doing it on purpose or anything. But yeah, it happens. He likes to play the ball either to Vini or to Modric, or making a little triangle. That's like the mostly what he does. And when you have games like Cadiz where everyone is in defense, when you have a game like against Rayo where you're all over the place, when you have games where you're completely in the offense, like you never know what you're gonna get from other players, but you always know what you will get from Ferland because it's always the same with him, no matter who he plays. And you know I don't want to criticize him too much. It sounds like he's the worst player on our team from the conversation right now. I'm not saying that at all. But yeah, our current situation is that we don't have a good backup for him because even though Alaba played as a left back, he is a center back now, and he has the mentality of a center back, but sometimes a center back that is also a left back that will go forward, that will and it's all over the place. Like none of our lines, except maybe the midfield, have a real structure. You stay there, you go there, and that's sometimes a good thing, with players like Vini and Rodrigo and Valverde. They are kind of like chaotic players, But what I don't want is, chaos in my box. And so, yeah, I think the only solution for that is to get a new player, not to replace Mendy, but to at least give him, something to fight for,
Well, good point. We do seem to have a lot of defenders though, like especially in the center back position, but not really any kind of serious backup for Mendy or for Carvajal. But Farouk, it is not just about the defending, right? Like we seem to get into a lot of trouble on our own, of our own making, because we have been giving the ball away, especially Carvajal. Militao has been giving the ball away like crazy, man. Do you think that is going to be causing us problems this game? Because Cadiz, they don't really pressure that much high up the pitch. So Militao should be able to spray those passes in. But if we do give away those chances, like who do you see protecting us on the counter attack?
So like they've been called, to bench Alaba and start trying to get Militao together. I think maybe this might be the game to try that. Although I still believe that it's gonna be so much chaos. But I think at this point, the point is, we might need that chaos right now. Like we might need that chaos, to kind of, how can I say, like it's so dull at this moment that any kind of disturbance is gonna be a good disturbance. It's gonna be a wake up call. So like I mean, that chaos wouldn't be a bad thing in my opinion. So maybe yeah, it might be time to I don't know if Tony Rudiger eventually will overcome his injury and be able to make the squad for this game. But yeah, it will be great to get a change for that. So I think maybe Nacho as well. I mean Nacho also props to Nacho. So I think maybe a Nacho Rudiger combination or a Nacho Militao combination could be the way to go for because we just need to refresh the things. And to be honest, like I would personally also drop Dani Carvajal. I personally would drop Dani Carvajal for Lucas Vasquez. I know like it's not the best it's not the best replacement, like for Dan Carvalho. But I mean, Lucas Vasquez also, gives that attacking impetus as well. He also, gives that, crossing and well, obviously, like sometimes his crossing are really bad, but he always gives that, different aspect as well because he was once a winger as well. So that attacking sense is always there as well. So I will try that as well. To be honest, that's also something I will look towards. But for the center back pairing, I think I will go with Militao and Nacho Militao and I put the guys again.
Good point, guys. Like we won't know what Ancelotti has in mind, but we have certainly expressed our desire in who to start for the next game. However, like let's look at the midfield. Doris, you mentioned like we don't seem to have any sort of leadership in the midfield, at least, especially if Modric has a bad game. Like nobody is there to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
But our big boy is back. Tony Cruz is back for this game. So who else do you think is going to start in the game?
I know it's a tough question, actually, because Chouameni, maybe he didn't have a good game last night. Like, I wouldn't really call it a good game from him. But I don't think Ancelotti is gonna drop him for that. We still need him, even the way he is now. But I'm pretty sure he will play Todi. I'm just not sure if he will play Luka. And maybe what we need is right now is some stability, with play with what and that is both Tony and I was gonna say close. Both Tony and Luca are in the midfield. I think that is our most stable midfield, and the a system that we're used to playing, even if we don't have Kase in the middle, it's still, Modric and Tony know what they're doing, and Tony accepted a role in this team, a different role than what he used to play, and we do need him, especially when Chouameni is having the kind of game he had last night, and I think when Kamavinga came on, it was actually like much better from our team, and the team started to play better. So maybe Kamavinga gets to start, even though I wouldn't start him as a defensive midfielder in place of Many. Um, so yeah, I hope that the lineup is Tony, Many, and Luca, but things can always change. It will probably, knowing Ancelotti, be Tony, Many that will switch for Camavinga Vinga and then Modric. But we've seen Asensio play like really good games lately, so we can probably, forget Valverde playing on the wing for now, at least. Asensio is playing really good and he's playing his role good. Sometimes he goes where he's not supposed to, but that's a different thing. He had like a really nice game, like last couple of games. So that is also a thing that we have to mention, that Valverde then doesn't have a place on this team, which is impossible that he doesn't have a place on this team, So we're either stable or we're unstable watching it. That's pretty much it. Something is not stable always. Choose
Well,
chaos all the time.
yeah, choosing chaos is the way to go. Well, Farooq, do you agree with those statements saying we should probably give Valverde a rest for this game, saying we need to respect, because I don't see where the goals will come from apart from Valverde and Asensio, Like we don't have like those sort of quality finishers if we don't have them. So who would you drop for the midfield for this game?
I totally agree with you. Totally. Because the point is this, like, I also, I think actually, like if we're gonna play, but I don't know, that's the question. Who do you draw for who? But I actually think if we're gonna play, Tchouaméni, what's it called, Modric and Cross together with Valverde, I think Valverde is more effective in such a lineup, in my opinion, as compared to him playing in the, I think if he's gonna play with Tony Cross and Modric as well, he's gonna be effective. But him playing with Camavinga and Tchouaméni together, or like with Camavinga and Cruz and Tchouaméni in the midfield, so it also reduces its effectiveness. I think he playing with both Modric and Cruz at the same time actually gives him a platform to shine a lot, in my opinion. So I think, as you said rightly, I think right now, the scoring output, although I think for the past couple of games he hasn't been in the best of forms, but that threat of a goal remains, with Fede Valverde in our midfield right now, which unfortunately both Modric and Kroos and Tchouaméni and Camavinga do not carry. So that scoring aspect will be something that will lean me towards giving him a game. But then, because we have a game at the weekend as well, if I'm not mistaken, which will be our last game before the World Cup starts. So I think it might also be, as Doris said, like, although it's impossible to not find a place for Camavinga, sorry, for Valverde in the team right now, I think it might be a time to just give that rest and then bring him with all the energy in the 60th minute, and that's also something as well. If the game is likely placed at 0-0, 1-1, so like Fede coming in the 60th minute will not be a bad idea as well.
Farouk should be an assistant or something, or Carlos son or something.
Yeah.
Should give him better ideas for a lineup,
I mean, why not? You guys
Knowing you, no one would be on the pitch. Like, everyone, just stay home. Don't even come on the bus.
Yeah, if Farooq goes was
Honestly.
Ancelotti's, yeah.
Doris has a team, Jacob. Although she doesn't play that much because of injury, so like she can just put my name forward, and I would be in Croatia right away. And from there.
Really? I'll find you a team. I'll find you a team, man.
Well, we do have a kind of a fight in our comment section as well, like with Rahul, the Atletico fan. He's returned. He's been bashing us, but Sunay then
Same old Rahul.
no, yeah. Hey Rahul, good to have you, but sucks to be you, guys. So yeah, like for this game, like I believe we don't actually need Tchouaméni to have play a really defensive role because Cruz can do the job there. He's been good defensively so far this season, and I feel like him slinging those balls to the each wing will help us out a lot, and having Fede as well instead of Tchouaméni will help us in our ball progression. So. I feel like we have a lot of options there. We could either start Kamavinga or we could go with just Cruz stopping Chomini. But it is a trade-off either way. We don't know what David and Ancelotti are thinking, but maybe hopefully they see the light of Farouk's way, and then we see a really good game. So for the attack, we have three almost undroppable players right now. So Vinny, Rodrigo, and Asensio. Do you see that changing though?
Well, the second Karim comes back, what are we gonna do with our right wing? You know, because Rodrigo doesn't deserve to be dropped, and Asensio has been playing really well. You know, the way Hazard should be playing. You know, just to throw that out there. But yeah, Asensio is playing really well, and you know he is one of my favorite players. So I'm really rooting for him to keep going like this. But even last year, people were bashing on him like he is so bad. Which I agree. He didn't have a great season, you know. But I want to say he had the season that other play, supporters are saying he had, you know. So yeah, I don't want Ancelotti to drop Asensio, but I see it happening, you know, for Rodrigo. But on the other hand, Rodrigo, we need to see how much both of them play in the World Cup. Is Rodrigo actually gonna be played, or he just that we don't know at this point what their actual lineup will look like. We can predict where the Brazil lineup would look like. We can predict what Spain lineup will look like, but we don't know, you know. And you know, if we drop Rodrigo, which he doesn't deserve, Asensio deserves to, you know, get his own place. But if we drop Asensio, he doesn't deserve to not develop into a player that he could be, you know. Because I still think that he's a fantastic player, even though many people will disagree with me, and I accept that. Maybe I'm just biased, you know. But yeah, Ancelotti, I don't know if he's the reason Asensio is playing this way. I hope he is, because that means you know, he can progress in this team with him, and I hope that that's the case. But probably it's not. I I think that maybe Asensio, you know, is having one of those blimps again that happens every season where he's, you know, really good, and you're like, yes, Asensio, you know, and then, you know, just suddenly everything, you know, falls to the water, I guess.
Hmm.
I mean,
Well,
the point is he's looking for a contract, right? So I mean, that's the highest motivation you can always have. Like, you know, he's playing for a contract, so you know he has to be at his very best. So I mean, there is that as well. So don't you know, if he gets a contract renewed, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to being what he is. But as you're right, actually, Doris, like this is something we've seen a lot from Marco Asensio. There's always this 4 or 5 game patches for every year where he's almost unplayable, or rather where he's, you know, performing very positively, and then all of a sudden he just goes into uh his shell again. So yeah.
like Dora said, Farooq, let's assume Asensio is going to keep up this form because he's just going to keep playing for his contract. In that case, let's say Vinny also comes back a bit tired after the World Cup because he's going to start pretty much every game for Brazil. Do you see Rodrigo going back on the left wing because he has played on the right wing this season as a centre forward? Do you see him playing as a left winger as well for the later part of the season, just to give Vinny a rest or maybe pick up?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, I totally see that, but I think Rodrigo, oh sorry, Vini is gonna come back from the World Cup, irrespective of what happens or what doesn't happen. He's gonna play a lot for Brazil, but he's still gonna come back and play for us. He's just gonna slot in straight in right back, because I'm sure after the World Cup they're gonna get like a 1 week break and then they're gonna start going again. So I think we're just gonna see, you know, Rodrigo in there. I mean, once in maybe 2 months, once in 3 months, but I don't think, you know, resting Vini is something that Carlo Ancelotti has on his mind a lot, in my opinion. Well, yeah, I totally expect to see him, you know, from game to game on that in that position. So yeah, well, I also don't think us, because I think eventually, like, this team, the A team is always going to be a Fede on the right wing, Vini on the left wing, and Benzema through the middle. This is always going to be the A team, in my opinion. So the midfield is always going to be who it is right now. So they're just going to be fighting for, the irrelevant games or like the impact subs. And for example, situation right now where Benzema is injured. So these are the things. And to be honest, like kudos to Rodrigo. He actually placed himself as a prime substitute for Karim Benzema right now, to be honest.
Yep.
He has placed himself as a prime, not just as a right or left winger. No, he has placed himself as a very, very good option, as a substitute of Karim Benzema as well. So, that's also something that will increase his playing time, I think, in my opinion as well.
Like that's a good point because even Ancelotti, in one of his match quotes, I believe it was after the Celtic game, he said, "I see Rodrigo's future as more of a second striker behind the forward, or even as a centre forward rather than a winger." Do you concur with that, Doris? Because Rodrigo isn't like the fastest player out there. Like, do you think he can excel more as a centre forward?
Yeah. Well, I think with Rodrigo is we are always comparing him to Vinicius, which is it's fine. They're pretty much the same age, same country, same everything. But Rodrigo is really good at those tight spaces, which for a striker and someone in the box you need that. But then on the other side, you have Benzema. He is not like the most physical person in the box, right? But he can like hold his own. He is like a strong player. Like he is not like the most aggressive and non like punching people in there, but he can still hold himself there. And that's the biggest thing I'm afraid for Rodrigo. He can like someone can just pick it up and just throw him. And that wouldn't be the first time that happened. And not only to him, like all of our smaller players. I remember in the against Chelsea last season, Rudiger picked up Luka and just threw him from the pitch. That was really funny, but is showing what is happening to our players. And the only thing that could happen is if Rodrigo plays as a second striker, which in this team at this point in time I don't see happening like the way it is in theory. Because this team is anything but straight to the system. And again, if you're gonna play as second striker, that means you're not playing with your wingers completely, or the way you are taught to play in your academy. Because when you're a winger you have your space that kind of like your heat map that you need to be part of on that side. But for Rodrigo, he is the kind of player that runs around, but his physical attributes are not enough for him to actually like pose a real threat in the box. As a player that can strike the ball and be you know decisive in some games with his his control and stuff, he does lack a lot on in his height, his physicality, his heading ability, and all that. So I would rather play him on the wing instead of Vinicius. Sometimes they can change. Both of them have shown they are really capable wingers. And I just hope that we don't play Rodrigo up there unless we need to. And I wouldn't like the team to change to a second striker again. Like I like the way we are playing right now, and maybe it is kind of like tunnel vision for the future, and kind of a simple formation, probably the most simple formation you could play. Is just having one striker and two on the sides, but constantly, at least on our subreddit and other communities that speak about Madrid, people are constantly asking who's gonna replace Benzema, as if that's the way we're gonna play forever. So there's the thing that maybe the future will change. Maybe Rodrigo will get buff. Maybe we'll get another player that is that for him. it is what it is. Like we do have some like really skinny players. It is something that it is worth mentioning, and I'm sure that when Florentino is talking to the scouts and Ancelotti, they are looking for someone more physical, because when you look at the stature and the fit of Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Vinicius, Rodrigo, there are not many people that can hold themselves. And when players start flopping on the ground, you can really see that it is affecting the team. It is affecting the dynamic. It is affecting everything that we do, you know. So playing Rodrigo as a second striker, I wouldn't do it unless we like really, really need to. In case like Vinicius is not ready, or like both Asensio and Vini or something is like crazy happening. But otherwise, please, please don't do it.
Yeah, good point. But at least for this game, we know Asensio, Rodrigo, and Vini are going to start, and they're not really good in the air.
Yeah,
Well, Rodrigo, he is kind of good in the air if he gets a chance, but he can be bodied off the ball.
yeah,
One thing that does frustrate me, like it is not just this game. Like even if we have Bens on the pitch, I feel like we don't cross enough this season, especially against minnows like Cadiz and your Elches and stuff. I feel like we don't use Carvajal's crossing ability. We don't use Alaba's crossing ability as well. Valverde seems to be the only one interested in putting that ball in. Farooq, do you see that as an underrated tactic, or do you not believe in crossing, inshallah?
Actually, so that's the thing, like the point is for you to cross, and inshallah, you need to have someone, that you're as a focal point who you're gonna cross to. But unfortunately,
exactly.
Karim Benzema is not that sort of striker. He's not that the person who's gonna provide you that focal point for the crosses to rain into. Like not until we reach, desperate moments where we just bombard the box with players. Like not until we reach that moments, like our game doesn't revolve around. Because we see a lot of times where Carvajal bumps forward and like he wants to cross, but then he just has to turn back and just give a cut back to someone and something like that. Like right now, our play is not suited to that. As Doris rightly pointed out, like we have very, very small wingers. So like if we had like, more physical, more bulky wingers, maybe they could, also go in
Yeah,
and, attempts headers and something like that. But I mean, Vini and Rodrigo are always going to lose almost all the duels, like all the aerial duels they contest. So like it's just a waste of, possession to actually cross into the box. And actually the person who is lethal with his head, like Karim Benzema, doesn't, over in around the box. So he hovers just on the edge of the box around it in the empty space and what is not. So I think the crossing thing is just that's the personnel we have right now. It's not the most suited, to the crossing. Inshallah, that is at least unless you get into a desperate mode.
Mm. No, but that's the thing. Like, if you see Barcelona play, like the way they break these teams who play park the buses, they get the ball wide. They either play a cutback, which we often do, which we try to do the same. But for them, they have Lewandowski to cross the ball, and so they have a cheat code in him. Like we no longer have that in the team with Bale and CR7 leaving. So maybe, do you guys think we can have any sort of winter transfer where someone like that can come in? Like realistically, do we have any or like for targets for the winter transfer, Doris? I don't remember reading about
so
anything.
uh well, people are talking constantly, what they want to do, and none of those you know predictions ever really come true. Like Sodai said that we're gonna get Haaland, and I'm all for that. But it's not gonna happen this winter. I doubt that it will ever happen. But tonight, I believe in you and your word. But until then, and even like this winter, I think it's all gonna be on the World, World Cup. All scouts are gonna look at it. Everyone is gonna be, basically with their binoculars on other players, especially the players, that showed up for the clubs and are playing well in the World Cup. I think they're gonna be on the top of the list, because I don't think we're necessarily going for a star player this winter. I really hope we don't just like buy a striker and that's it, because we've been trying to do that for a while now, and I just wish that it doesn't happen, like on a women like out of nowhere. So I trust Florentino completely what he wants to do in the winter, but I don't think much will happen.
Mm.
Maybe we get one player, but I don't think much will happen at the end of the season, of course. But I don't think that this transfer window Florentino is gonna do much.
Mm.
That at least that's my prediction for it. Not like any knowledge or knowledge based comment.
Yeah, like we can never bench Benzema when he is fit, so it could well be another Jovic situation if we bring another striker in. But I feel like we definitely need to go for a fullback at least. We like, do you guys even remember if Odriozola is on the squad? Farouk, I see him in training every now and then, but nothing from him. Like, do you think he can be a backup for Carvajal?
That's the thing, like I actually just see like as actually I also mentioned earlier like I would start Lucas Vasquez in this game, but that's the thing, even we as the fans we're oblivious to the fact that this exists. I actually just wonder like what kind of what does he do in training? Okay, I always just wonder like how bad must he be in training that a winger is starting ahead of him as a fullback. That's the thing. Like I really wonder what he does. So I just think it's gone for him similar with Eden Hazard, man. I think they're just part of the team, part of the camaraderie and like, to form the I don't know, the brotherhood, I would say, the to form the, the bond and what is not. But I don't realistically see him, as part of the, I don't know, part of the eventual, long run. Like, but obviously, here and there, he's like, for example, if you could recall last year when Jesus Vallejo came in for a couple of games, so I think he's also going to be handy across down the stretch, but not as an integral part of the team. Actually, I think Lucas Vasquez is way ahead of him right now, so that actually says a lot about him as a player as well.
Mhm. Good point. Well, before we head into our predictions, like I just want to take a moment to talk about the state of La Liga because there seems to be a gulf in class between the top two teams. So it is a 10 point, almost a 10 point difference between Atletico and us. And beyond that, Betis were doing well, Sociedad were doing well, but they have dropped off. And we see that normally at this point of the season, at the halfway point, because they really are teams who start well, but they drop off because of a lack of depth. And Sevilla as well, like last season, they were really good. This season, we thought they were having a resurgence, but right now they're 17th, Doris. I mean, what is going on in La Liga?
I have no idea. I mean, I've been reading some, comments from Sevilla supporters, and most of them, you have to consider that they lost their backline. That is a big loss, and they lost a really good player. Like they really depended on Kunde, And I wouldn't say that their attack is bad because it isn't. I wouldn't say that it's bad. They scored how many? They've scored 20 goals. Like that's not amazing. It's not bad, But their defense is not, like really lacking. And I just think like they will get through this season. They probably won't reach Europe, which is good for some other teams. Osasuna is showing that they, can get back out there, and so Sociedad is constantly on that sixth, seventh place, which I would like for them to, like show a bit more, just to show like in Europe in general, because with Sevilla being, in 17th place, it does say a lot about La Liga right now. I mean, Atletico got beaten by Rayo like 9 days ago. Rayo beat Sevilla, Barcelona, Madrid, Atletico, like like a lot of teams, But if you had, I don't know, West Ham doing the same thing in the Premier League, everyone will be talking like, "Whoa, what a team!" Like we should be, applauding some of these teams for how well they've been playing. Maybe not Sevilla, but there are other teams that have been playing like really, really well. Especially coming from really from uh, Segunda
Segunda
Division.
division. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't even pronounce that. Yeah, but yeah, like there are teams in, like in 10th place, from the second league, and then you have Sevilla at the 17th, So I don't think, we can really like scrutinize Sevilla for this, but I will applaud other teams for doing so well this season. But if you look at it, like in comparison to 30 points and having, around like 20 points, it's not the same. But if you, exclude the top two, as it's always the same in La Liga, the other teams are actually doing really well. For example, Bilbao is being better right now than Atletico, and I hope it stays that way. Like we need other teams that are showing like real promise, that they are real teams, like we can really do this. And then you have Atletico that, complacency, that's exactly it. They are used to being in Europe. They are used to being in Champions League. Like you are not even fixing your own problems because you're used to it. And that is also a problem that is in Real. But if you look at our league standings, I'm more than happy with what it looks like.
Yeah, a lot of minnows punching about there, right? Like I said, Osasuna, Rayo doing really well. However, like what I want to see is some strong contender, like along with Barcelona and Real Madrid. Like Barcelona are not doing great in Europe as well, but at least next season we hope someone can take up the mantle that Atletico used to do, and perform really good in Europe. Who do you see that to be, Farouk, going forward next season?
So difficult, man. So difficult. To be honest, I mean, it's a shame, like like that. All the, as you guys rightly point out, with Sevilla and the departures of their players and the coach eventually, I find it so difficult. Like you look at last season, we had Unai Emery with Villarreal almost knocking Liverpool out in the semi-finals of the Champions League as well. So, that's a huge thing. But now Emery's back at Aston Villa. Like Aston Villa is, I don't know, man. Like Aston Villa is at best a mid-table team. Or Villarreal is a team that will constantly compete for European competitions and European places. So it just tells you that what we need to know about the state of affairs in La Liga right now. Like the players, even Diego Carlos left Sevilla with the Champions League to go to Aston Villa, like before he got the unfortunate injury. Like so, it just tells us that the state of affairs right now in La Liga is not as much as, because when you check, even for all the players that Barcelona have bought, Rafinha comes from Leeds. Leeds are fighting for relegation. Similar this year, they're also in a relegation battle. You check for Marcos Alonso. Marcos Alonso is someone that people have actually even forgotten about. Andres Christensen, Chelsea deemed him not good enough to play. So these are the marquee signings. Hector Bellerin. Bellerin hasn't played for us, I think, in the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure. So you see, like these are the players that Barcelona are marquee signings for Barcelona. A team like Barcelona. So obviously, you're expecting like if Marcos Alonso is the marquee signing for Barcelona, if Hector Bellerin are the marquee signings for Barcelona, it says a lot about the state of affairs that La Liga is in right now. So to be honest, like to answer your question, I think other than Real right now, like I mean, a lot of people think there's a bias in there. Obviously, there's a bias, but to be honest, it's not it doesn't look very very interesting, doesn't look very very promising for La Liga teams right now. I think Real is the only team like that I will beat hand to chest that yeah, I'm sure they can do something. But because that's the thing, like to be honest, like you look at Inter Milan aren't like world beaters, but they easily quashed Barcelona across 2 legs easily. So that's the thing, like just even forget about Bayern. But that's the thing, like in Europe, to move ahead, you need to beat these guys. Like I mean, Atleti could not even beat Porto to save their Europa League season. So that's the thing, like Club Brugge went 4 games unbeaten, man. 4-game winning streak in that group with Atleti and and Leverkusen. So it's so sad actually, to be honest. It's so really so sad. And yeah, you look at the teams, like you see in the round of 16, we have teams like Frankfurt, Benfica, Spurs, even to name a few. And that teams like Sevilla should be better than teams like Spurs. So unfortunately, well, this is what it is, man. Like right now, unless something happens across the January window or the next summer, I'm not very optimistic for La Liga in Europe, to be honest.
Well, yeah, it is a sad state of things. Let's just hope something changes. So, there are at least a few World Cup stars, because there are a lot of African teams who have players playing in La Liga. And let's just hope, some of them light the World Cup on fire and things turn out to be better for La Liga. But let's focus on this game and come back to our predictions. Like we mentioned, like this could be a slippery slope with Cadiz having a few draws recently against us. So, are you gonna predict a draw again, Doris?
I say a 1-0 win. Nah, I can't say that. I can't say that. We cannot keep a clean sheet, even if we're playing against, if 11 defenders. I
No,
don't
man,
think we'll
actually,
even keep a.
I think if we play against an empty stadium, we're still gonna find a way to score an own goal. I think we just have to, customarily.
Honestly. So yeah, I'm hoping for at least a 1-0, but it's probably, I don't know, a 2-1. 2-1 for
Two
us. For
ones,
us.
yeah, seems to be the like most diplomatic answer. Like, they're like, of course, we are going to concede this game. Of course, Cadiz are going to cause problems. Like, the question is if it's going to be a draw or if it's going to be a win. And as Real Madrid fans, we're
Um,
forced to say we're going to win. So 2-1 is the most safest bet, I guess. Farooq, what about you?
I'm gonna go a bit more bold. We're gonna keep a clean sheet and gonna have a riot 4-0 victory.
4-0. Oh, wow.
I mean, I
after
need, I
drawing
need,
them
I
1-1
need
and
something that
0-0.
make my life better, man. I mean, it's been shit, man. The past, yesterday was really, really garbage, man. Fuck. Yesterday was garbage, honestly. So I need something to just suit me better. I need something to make me, release all this, ease all this stress and all this tension. I mean, a 4-0 comprehensive victory with a clean sheet for Thibaut. I mean, there's nothing better, man. There's no better script out there.
Well, I hope that happens, Farooq. However, like I feel like we're still going to concede, but hopefully we can shake off our sketchy form against Cadiz, and I'm going to predict 3-1 victory, and all of the goals are going to come in the first half itself, and second half it's just going to coast, and the players who have to go off for the World Cup are just going to get you know a bit of rest with probably Vallejo and those guys coming in. I just want to see that, but, because I don't like really see how we're not going to concede this game.
And that's also true, man. That's also
Yeah.
true.
All
That's
right.
true.
Do you guys have anything else to add? Or we can, shout out our.
Yeah, Saeed, I said 1-0 win only because we haven't really scored against them in the last few games. Like we only scored one goal against them, like in the last few matches. So yeah, that's why my answer was 1-0, but I changed it immediately. So don't roast me in the chat.
Well, yeah. Even Javier's in the chat saying, Farouk, it's crazier than his predictions. But yeah.
Javier, my
Uh,
man, I'm telling you, man, we need this. We need this, man. Yesterday it was pure garbage, man. We need a comprehensive victory, man. I think, yeah, who best, man. Cadiz is 19th. I know, obviously, like it doesn't, just the table standing doesn't tell the whole story, but I mean, we need this, honestly. We definitely need this. We need that comprehensive victory, man.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, yeah. If there's nothing else, yeah. Even Tino says he's got to go. It's been a really great show, and he just said, Doris, sorry for all the compliments if you felt uncomfortable, but yeah, keep up the good work.
Well, thank you for the compliments at least.
All right. Yeah, thank you guys for all who made it to the comment section, who's been keeping us company, for all the viewers. But as long as you're here, like if you haven't subbed already, go give a subscribe and a like for Doris and Farouk as well. Um, Also, follow us on our Instagram and on our Twitter. All the links are down in the description below. Do give a follow for our supporters at Real Madrid Committee. Their Instagram is also down below, and they have some really good Madrid stuff going on there. So yeah, check us out, give us a subscribe, and Hala Madrid, guys.
Hola Madrid.
What for? No Hala Madrid from you.
I actually did Hala Madrid.
Oh, okay. All right. See you guys.
All right.
All right. Good night.